Good afternoon, one and all present here. Today, for this illuminating expert session, I am Pranjal Advani and I'll be your host for today. The secret of success is to be ready when opportunities emerge. Seize the moment because some opportunities don't come twice. A lot of students lack a proper direction and hence end up being
Good
underconfident
afternoon,
individuals.
one and all
So
present
to
here.
help them overcome
Today,
that
for this
block,
illuminating
ESL
expert
of IIIT
session,
Lucknow
I
has
am Pranjal
organized this
Advani
session
and
in
I'll be your host for
association
today.
with a founder
The
in
secret of
EdFinTech
success
space,
is to be ready when
upcoming
opportunities
author,
emerge.
on point
Seize the
global
moment
host,
because
women
some
in tech,
opportunities
Indian
don't
ambassador,
come twice.
and
A
a lot of
investment
students
advisor,
lack a
Purva
proper
Aggarwal.
direction and hence
Purva
end up
Aggarwal,
being
the founder. Good
underconfident
afternoon,
individuals.
one and all
Good
present
to
here.
help them overcome
India's today
that
for this
block.
illuminating
ESL of
expert
IIIT
session.
Lucknow
I am
has
Pranjal
organized
Advani
featured
and
as
I'll be your host
Next
for today.
Leaders
The
2021
founder
by
and secret
Japan
of
Startup
success
Review
is to be
and
ready when
Finalist
opportunities
author
emerge.
Shart on point
Seize the
global
moment
host
because
women
some
in tech,
opportunities
Indian
don't
ambassadors,
come twice.
and
Her
a
mission
lot of
as
students lack
ambassador of
proper
women in
direction
tech
and
India
hence
is to
end
help
up
Indian
being
women.
underconfident
Good afternoon,
individuals.
one and
Get
all
access
present
to
here.
opportunities
India's
in
international
international tech
illuminating
ESL of
expert
IIIT
session.
Lucknow. Her
I
background
am
working
Pranjal
for
Advani
featured
and
as
I'll be your host
Next
for today.
Leaders
Consulting
2021
with founder and
by
secret
Japan
of
Startup
success
Review
is to be
and
ready when
Finalist
opportunities
author.
emerge.
So, Shart
Hello,
on
Purva.
point
Seize the
global
moment
host
because
Hi,
women
some
in tech,
opportunities
Indian
don't
ambassadors,
come. How are you?
thank you
and
so
her
much for
mission as
inviting me. I am
ambassador
really
of
happy
women
to
in
speak
tech
to the
and
community.
hence to help
I
being
really
underconfident
that we
individuals.
are
One
Get
young,
access
good
to
to
good,
help them
opportunities
ambitious,
overcome
in
international
international
and that we
illuminating
could
ESL of
expert
connect at that
session.
IIIT.
time
Her
with
background
I am
working
Pranjal
for
Advani
featured
and
as
I'll be your host
Next
for today.
Leaders
Consulting with
2021
founder and
by
secret
Japan
of
Startup
success
Review
is to be
and
ready when
Finalist author.
opportunities
So,
emerge.
Shart
Hello,
on
Purva.
point
Seize the
global
moment
because
because
Hi.
women
some
in tech,
to begin
Indian
with the
ambassadors,
session. How are you?
Purva
Thank you
and
so much for
a lot of
inviting me.
students
I am
lack
really happy
proper
to
direction
contribute to the
and hence
community.
to help
I
being
believe
underconfident
that we
individuals.
are
One
Get
well. I
all
think
access
present
to
here.
what is
opportunities
something
in
of my
international
point is that we
EdFinTech
could connect at that
Her
time
background
I am
when
working
we are
Pranjal
for
thinking about
Advani
featured
technology
as
first,
Next
campus,
Leaders
knowing
consulting with founder
2021
triple
and
by
IT,
secret
Japan
of
having a
Startup
lot
success
of
Review
is to be
courses
and
ready
available
when
to us.
Finalist
Most people who are in college today and are in the tech world can be those leaders who can change India, who can make India empowered, and nothing like it if India develops that breed of people, who can not just think about entrepreneurship from a lens of, finding, creating more jobs, but also then looking at. So from what I know is almost 54% of our Indian population today is under the age of 35, which means that we are very young. Matlab, at least in foreign countries, people still pursue education when they're 30, 40 years of age. But mostly in India, the trend is that while we are fresh, we are young, we are maybe under 25 when we are in college campuses like IIIT Lucknow. Now, having said so, uh, this is the kind of youth which is also entering the workforce every year. And not just entering the workforce, but also being those powerhouses who will create corporations, who will make sure corporations are up fast, very competitive, are taking out leading innovations in India. So for me, I think youth entrepreneurship is something I definitely support. I count myself to be part of, young people and youth. I was very young. I mean, when I started this venture, today the venture is valued at more than 15 crores. And that's how that's how it is. As young people, we have the mind, the energy, the fresh thinking to challenge the glass ceiling and then move forward. So I believe that anybody who is um, looking at entrepreneurship is also looking at entrepreneurship from a perspective that they will be creating jobs, right? Because to be an entrepreneur, I think it's a very noble work to do, because suddenly when you're thinking and your vision, you keep adding people into the movement who have the same thoughts about a problem, and you're always problem solvers. So I think India has lots of problems to solve. It's one of the most progressive countries in the world. It's a developing country. And while we are on those charts, we should be sorting out the problems that we have and sort them out by innovation, sort them out by fresh thinking. Simple stuff like bureaucracy. Sometimes you always compare India with brain drain. People are unhappy, but what are we doing about it, right? We're just leaving a country behind. Moving to a new country would not solve the problem for India. And my urge is definitely to young people, to youth, to young entrepreneurs to pick up those challenges, to solve them. So look at the fact that young youth entrepreneurship cannot just be pure entrepreneurship from, I mean, it can be economic entrepreneurship. It can also be social entrepreneurship. It can also be public entrepreneurship. It can also be that you become an intrapreneur. So it's just not one path that has been showcased so far in the narrative. But I believe that entrepreneurship truly, truly, truly at a very young age has the power to change a country.
Yeah, I think you are right. And India, as we can see, that India has a lot of youth, so I can relate that we
Yeah,
people can only
yeah.
bring the change for the
Yeah,
entrepreneurship.
yeah, of course. India will come up soon in the global rankings, and while we are that emerging market, but आपको today everybody, every international company knows that um, they should enter India. Why should they enter India? Because we are one of the largest populations in the world, right? Our ministries are working on ease of. Are they working on doing ease of business? In fact, from my London desk, I'm appointed to bring tech companies from Europe to enter India and help them out with the government, right? And having said so, why are these European companies interested in coming to India? That is purely because we have a lot of population. We are a developing country. There is scope for innovation. Innovation from outside is looked very well in our landscape. Now I think Mr. Modi is changing the perspective where made in India, things bred in India are still ranking up. Otherwise, you always would compare our products with international products. So I think on that front, there's a lot that is happening in the environment where they're trying to stabilize the business environment. They're trying to make sure that we are more market oriented. And having said so, I think we should be incubating more and more startups, because when you incubate more startups, then you're bringing competition into the market, you're bringing innovation into the market, and then together we know those economic forces can make sure that we can have uh, um, a progressive country, right? And definitely how young people are, they are the ones who will enjoy the country when it is developed, right? So it is our shoulders, I believe, on which we should be resting that movement of taking out a progressive innovative space. So for example, my startup Good Piggy is addressing financial literacy, which is where when you check about um, G20 countries ka survey, you will see India is ranking very low in financial literacy standards. So what can I do about it, right? It hurts me. It hurts me, and I'm sure you have complained. Schools हमें check लिखना नहीं सिखाते हैं. We don't know what is banking, and when you're out there as an 18-year-old, there's so much that you don't know, and that definitely is impacting our financial literacy as a country. So, I mean, I had to start from where the problem was, and I understood the problem is कि behavioral science के हिसाब से your brain is developed by the age of 7. Your money personality is set in your mind by the age of 7. So you have to really solve the problem. You have to solve it at a really early age. So Good Piggy was born to talk about financial literacy, talk about money management, and that too digitally, because the future of money is digital, right? At the age when we are barely 4, 5, 6 years of age. And look, that's where slowly India will change. We will change. We will raise a generation which will be money smart, which will be making the right decisions, which base of their cognitive and mind personality will be having strong money values. And money values for me is a life skill, right? It not just impacts yourself, it impacts your family, it impacts the way you grow, it impacts society, it progressively impacts the GDP of the country. So think about it like this, right? I mean, as young people, we should all think about it like this. What can we solve for India, right? What can we do which will go to the grassroots and build India top up? So I think young people should definitely pick up and target entrepreneurship at those places where we know we hurt the most.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I just appreciate all the efforts you made by your startup to, enlighten youth about the entrepreneurship. So basically, can you guide us? Like, how can we contribute to youth entrepreneurship as a solo human being and as a society? What can we do to encourage youth entrepreneurship in India?
So look at entrepreneurship from the perspective of, okay, I think everybody is aware that there's a recession coming our way. You're all reading about it in newspapers. There in recessions, we know there are high unemployment rates. Jobs, finding jobs becomes difficult. So look at the fact that entrepreneurship can strengthen all of this. But what can you do, right? How we can make sure that we find strength in entrepreneurship is only and only when entrepreneurship somehow can get strengthened uh, from getting families or communities on board, right? Like, for example, your ESA is taking an initiative to create a community of young people, to create that narrative in a campus, to talk about entrepreneurship as a proposal to young people, right? Now here is when, as somebody who's looking at youth entrepreneurship, you want to see that there's an ecosystem that develops. Now how does that ecosystem come about? That ecosystem only comes about when you have family or communities taking up that sort of a uh, role to talk and do. So I think congratulating your campus to be that forward looking, where you're creating that sort of an ecosystem where you want your young people to operate businesses, where you want them to find paths in their life where it leads them to get to think about it. But I think now what will happen is, what can we do one step? We've started the conversation, but where do we go, right? Similarly, for example, Shark Tank was a great show to be part of, because suddenly we became faces of entrepreneurship. I could become an advocate. Similarly, families have started talking about numbers. Grandparents will start talk about entrepreneurship in the right light. But I think to take it beyond this is where you have to develop a very very good business and technical project, where you know that this is something that will work. It is something that is not only attractive to you, but also attractive and meaningful to other stakeholders, for example customers. So I think that's sort of a discussion where there is hand holding available to direct you, to give you mentorship. For example, in my case, right, I had the right mentors who have taken me from an idea stage to where the company is at today. And those are the people who help you think about and point out the deficiencies in your model, in your technical approach. There is a role of consultants that we hire. Some things you have to do yourself, some things you need to learn yourself. The other places you can deploy resources if you have resources to go forward. So I think you can only strengthen entrepreneurship environment for people if you are thinking about helping them get capital, right? So for example, I was hearing from you that there is a pitch competition where kids are coming talking about their ideas. There are investment checks which can be written out to them, and I think that sort of support is where we can give some sort of spark to somebody's idea, and it can grow and it can spread light to other people and to other stakeholders in their environment. Also, for anybody to be successful as an entrepreneur, you should always remember that you need mentors. You need those mentors who will guide you, because it's not a straight path. It is not a curriculum. That's kind of like, for example, हम घुस गए अब ये semester है, ये semester है, this is the semester, these are the exams, and tada, out of 5 years there's an engineer who is born. Like, there is no simple system or assembly line, I would say, to entrepreneurship, that you do one, two, three, five, seven things, and tada, your business is ready to do. I mean, if everybody knew what that black book is, everybody would start, working on it. There is guidance. There are resources which are available. A lot of them on free of cost to people. Y Combinator, for that matter, puts out a lot of lots and lots of training sessions which you can go for, which can help you think about a business from different angle, from different lens. But what will really help is getting relevant mentors. So good Piggy, for that matter, has international mentors, somebody from World Bank, somebody from OECD, somebody who's doing a similar project in US, or somebody who's a diplomat, helping us to mentor the business from different angles, right? So I think an entrepreneur should also think about the kind of mentors they will have, because all of it comes together as ingredients that will strengthen entrepreneurship. or an entrepreneurial path for yourself?
Okay, yeah, I think mentors are really very important. But can you please tell me more? Like, how did you meet your mentors? How was your Shark Tank journey? How it all started and how it went through?
Well, personally for me, I was too young. I was bubbling. I had energy. I was pursuing my masters, and I definitely, like all of you, thought ki I should sit for placements, and I sat for placements. I got a job. I was working in London in private equity, investment advisory space, working for a company. All of it merry-go-round, great stuff happening, right? And I think सारे के सारे people in campus wants that path only कि बॉस एक बढ़िया सी job लग जाए, we are one of those top packages in campus and we start there. By the way, if you are like that, please come to me. I'm happy to give jobs. Right now, Good Piggy is hiring. We are hiring in a massive way across verticals. So if you want to sit in college placements, please go ahead. If you think about starting your own venture and you want to know what is the good or bad of starting your own venture, you want to come and experience a startup culture, the pains that you have to take in a startup, also it grills you to achieve, it makes you grow a lot, please come to Good Piggy. Drop me a line that you saw me on in IIIT Lucknow, and I'll be very happy to take it up, let you jump a few rounds
Is there any
in the
eligibility
startup.
like for
So
us?
we have space right now in terms of technical. Yes, we have space right now for developers. We have openings right now for product managers. We have opening right now for designer, for iOS developers also. So I think more than welcome. There are some openings in sales and operations as well, for data analytics also. So please just let us know. What I'm looking forward for is somebody who is smart, who is logical, who can take initiative, who has an entrepreneurial mindset. As simple as, if you have sold t-shirts in college, it's great because you are thinking in the right way, you're thinking business, right? So more than happy to welcome students from your campus into the company, if they're thinking about entrepreneurship, to come and see entrepreneurship, right? And entrepreneurship is never alone. You always want those 5-10 people who can be your people and who will build the business under you. मतलब अगर 100 crore का आपको valuation का business बनाना है, तो आपको 10 ऐसे लोग चाहिए जो 10-10 crore की valuation अपने नीचे बना ले. Correct? So I am more than welcome everybody from your campus to come to be part of it and to grow the company together. And again, at the right time, we'll be very happy to make you part of that equity, make you see, and let you grow in the startup. It's a high growth area, right? In the end, what I was talking about was, I was starting at the same place where you guys are, in exactly 2.5 years ago. I got through my placement. I started working on my placement. I was earning well. I was sitting in London. I was doing that kind of work. In fact, my job was to find startups, understand what they want, and marry them to investors, and be that advisor in between who can make sure the end to end transaction can take place. And from there, I reached out. I mean, my professor in college started talking to me about entrepreneurship, and he said, look, yeah, you have talent, you have experience, you have done the right things, and why not think about entrepreneurship? And he told me that there is this program where uh, if you get selected, then they start training you on how to solve world problems, and how that solving a world problem can also mean great business. So, and this was a program called Kairos, which was funded by Bill Clinton and Richard Branson and those big people, right? Primarily they have money, right? But what they don't have is time, energy. Young people like us, we have time, we have energies, we have idea, we have everything that can go. पैसे नहीं है बस. In the end, that is our problem. Maybe पैसे भी हैं, family support है या कुछ और है, तो we don't have the right thinking about scale. Mentorship नहीं है. दो चीजें missing होगी भाई. Otherwise, I think we are a great generation who knows how to pivot between the old generation and the young generation, and we have a forward looking thinking. So I started, again, thanks to the pandemic, I also had time, because I'd come back to India. I was working in the UK time zone, so subah ka time 4 hours, when UK used to be sleeping and London used to be sleeping, I am up in India. So I needed something to do, so I joined this program, and they started mentoring. How do you think about a problem? How do you apply design thinking? How do you create a UX? How could you low code, no code sort of stuff? How do you do pilot testing on assumptions? And during that program, I just started applying my mind to one problem. Whatever I was learning in the program, I was applying it on paper, right? And almost a few months later, I had a 70 to 80 pager research on what is the problem, what is my proposed solution, how big is the market, what we can do, etc., etc., etc. And I went to a few investors, told them, look, this is what I want to build. And we found venture builders who said, okay, you know what, you can start building on it and we'll be happy to invest as long as our angels are agreeing. I gave a pitch to the angels, they agreed. Within 3 months, we were standing on national television, pitching this to bigger sharks. And I think from there, I realized that if this idea has the power to beat competition of almost 71 lakh, more than 50,000 applications in India at an idea stage, then definitely this needs justified time. So I went back to my employer. I told him I want to be full time in this. Look, I'm on national television now. I need to really build this. Not just that, when we were on national television, almost 5,000, 8,000 people wrote the names on the website saying, we want the product, we want the product, we want the product. So, even before the product came out, there was interest, or there was already a sales pipeline that we had built. And yes, the last 7, 8 months has been all about coding that product, creating that product, uh, testing the product, opening it for beta testing to users, and now slowly rolling it out to public, right, in the coming year. So that's where we are at. And I think all of it just comes from a mindset. It comes from a mindset where you want to build, when you want to have a thick skin, not hear everything around you, but you know exactly this is the goal you want to follow. And you keep adding people in your mission and vision to make that possible. And the right people who believe in your mission and vision, who understand it. And that also includes investors, and it includes stakeholders, it includes employees, it includes customers. In the end, these are all people, right? Just wearing different hats around your project, around your vision. So I think that's what is entrepreneurship. That was my journey during Shark Tank. In fact, after a few months, we could convince one of the sharks to also come and mentor us. We even received a letter of intent from her in terms of investment. So it's been an interesting journey, and all you need to do is have a thick skin. Know that you will fall down, but you're gonna rise back again, and you got to look at it like a sprint, or in terms of a relay race than a sprint, right? So yeah, I think that's entrepreneurship for me. And like I said, young people should definitely experience startups, should definitely create startups, and should definitely look at it from a lens of creating good impact in the world.
Yeah, I can see you have so many ups and downs in a journey. Okay, yeah, Purva, you just mentioned one thing that as young leaders or as a youth, we may lack on two things. One, it could be mentors, and other, it could be funds. So, can you tell me, like, if there's a person who has a very decent idea, he has researched on it, how shall he or she go about collecting funds for that?
Well, I think to be collecting funds, what you need is articulating your idea in the right way, right? So articulating idea would mean that, have you written out what you want to build? How have you presented it? Do you have a financial model? Again, I know and I'm aware I'm speaking to a tech campus, right, where everybody is a techie. So it's great. Trust me, it is one of the biggest blessings you have is you understand technology. And when you do, then only technology will not solve the purpose. You need to also understand the business side of it, or you need to have a co-founder who can look at business from a lens. And trust me, a lot of people who understand business want a co-founder for technology. For example, when I was raising funds in Shark Tank, what was it is, as 3 months old, I didn't even have a tech partner in place, right? So I didn't have a tech co-founder, and that was something that I had to find, I had to build, I had to engage with. So I think you're sitting at a place where people want you, where existing entrepreneurs want you. Go to AngelList for that matter, right? You will see a lot of places where you can go and solve a huge problem for a startup. But if you are looking at it from your own sense, then be aware that with technology, you would like to build a financial model in place. You would like to get yourself some training on how to pitch to the investors, how you're articulating that in a presentation, how even after you've done the, I would say, the pitch deck, the financial model, then how can you show whatever you're thinking as a small pilot testing is approving your assumptions. So a lot of data modeling goes on the back end. So if you're on those right paths, then I believe that you can bring a minimum viable product and positioning in place. And once you have that, that's when you go to investors. You can be crowdfunding if you're very confident. But I believe, going to VCs or PEs will not be the right approach at a student or a youth entrepreneurship level. What would be best is go to youth competitions, pitch what you have done, try and see if you can find some grants, some sort of support, and those trophies will take you forward, right? That will show what you have done. You should have some sort of customers, paid users with you. And if not, it's all right, right? Because what is there for us to lose? In the end, we are young, we have a life ahead of us. What we have pushed ourselves in terms of entrepreneurship will make sure that we become an all-rounder. Because कभी भी a business cannot be lopsided on one side of operation ना, कि टेक बढ़िया है बट मार्केटिंग नहीं है या सेल्स नहीं हो पाई, करोगे क्या? सेल्स कर लोगे पर कुछ है नहीं देने के लिए, so it needs to be an overall scenario. So some things या तो हम खुद कर लेंगे सब कुछ, या हम खुद उसको सीख के फिर कर लेंगे, और अगर हम खुद नहीं कर सकते तो हम किसी और की हेल्प लेंगे, राइट? So you have to accept that and create that sort of a space and environment where all of us can either we become all rounders or we create a team of all rounders, because in the end, for correct execution of business, you need an all rounder approach.
Yeah, basically entrepreneurship goes hand in hand with everything. Like,
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
so what I think is like as an entrepreneur, when you have to combine a lot of fields such as tech, marketing, and you can't lack in any one of them. So what I think is that in this whole journey, you might have faced a lot of challenges too. And so, can you tell me that what were the challenges which you faced, and did you give up, or how you went about that?
Yeah, of course. See, when you are starting entrepreneurship, when you're going from scratch, all you have is a white canvas, राइट? अब उसके आगे आपको उस वाइट कैनवस पे चीज़ें बनानी है, बिल्ड करनी है, एग्जीक्यूट करनी है. सो वन ऑफ द बिगर मेजर चैलेंज फॉर अस इज हाउ डू यू फिल दैट वाइट पेपर, right? If you fill it in a complicated way, then things will become complicated. If you write it in a very simple way, it will become very simple for you. So attempting that strategy is something that needs a lot of brainstorming. It needs a lot of thought. Think about it from a fact कि हमारे पास खाली लैंड है, राइट? अब उस लैंड पे कुछ बनाना है, राइट? कुछ ऐसा मीनिंगफुल बनाना है जो पैसा बनाए, करेक्ट? सो नाउ इट्स योर चॉइस. आपको उस खाली एज एन आर्किटेक्ट यू कैन थिंक अबाउट कि आप वहाँ पे एक रेस्टोरेंट बनाओ या आप होम स्टे बनाओ या होटल बनाओ, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट विल रिक्वायर अ डिफरेंट इनपुट, even in terms of money, in terms of resources, in terms of manpower, in terms of everything, right? You can create a farm if you want. So think about entrepreneurship in the same sense, that you have an empty space, and now it's up to you on what and how you will build, and whatever you visualize as an architect, आपको उसी के हिसाब से बाकी चीजें, that's how you'll have to get a team in place. उस हिसाब से आपको रिसोर्सेज लाने पड़ेंगे, उसी टाइप का मटेरियल लाना पड़ेगा, उसी टाइप की लेबर लानी पड़ेगी, राइट? So in the same sense, for entrepreneurship, I think the biggest hurdle is strategic thinking as an architect on how you want to develop your processes, your control systems, your environment, your approach, how you think about competitors, how you think about the market. So I think the challenge is to find that right strategy and to make sure that you can solve for it. So sometimes your strategy is great but you don't have a process in place. Then how do you fix that process? If you have a process in place, then how do you incentivize people to adopt the process? How do you make sure that you're not people driven but process driven, right? So those things will eventually get you to a standard space. But building it from, like I say, an empty space, a white blank canvas is the biggest challenge initially. Because अगर वहाँ पे आपने गलती करी तो फिर वो गलती हो गई, राइट? वही जैसे आप आर्किटेक्ट विल सिट एंड ड्रॉ अ मैप कि ऐसा बनाएंगे यहाँ पे ढांचा, अगर वहीं पे फ्लॉ है तो फिर वो पूरा का पूरा फ्लॉड ही बनेगा.
Yeah, I can understand. So I can see that you have faced a lot of challenges, and if a person does not go about all the things in a right way, so then there could be a lot of things which can go in trouble. Okay, but another question which I'm, really curious about is that as a female, how you actually took your steps. Because as we come from a country like India, where the population of, females in technology is still 14%, so the contribution is really very less. And you made up to Shark Tank India and such a renowned place. So, how can females be more aligned towards technology? How can they motivate themselves that they can also be entrepreneurs? So, what are your views about that?
Yeah, I think female entrepreneurship is something that I totally encourage. Females have a very different way of thinking, right? They are more creative, and that's very scientific, it's very psychological, it's the physiology of the body um, that there is. And I think entrepreneurship coming from women, acha, heard this somewhere on YouTube, right? They said कि largely the world is a man's world, correct? अब अगर man's world है तो उसमें इतनी problems है, right? We are facing so
Yes,
many issues right now: political issues, financial issues, economic issues, recessionary issues, so many things. Why not give the world to women and see how better and beautiful they can make the place? Because they solve everything at home, they solve everything everywhere. So I believe entrepreneurship for women also is that place where, as women, you can solve the problem and you can solve it beautifully, right? Because your brain is made in a way where you're creative yet you're logical, you are practical, you're problem solving, you are nurturing, you're inclusive, right? So I definitely feel if it would be a women's world, it would be a much better world. In the मतलब उसमें problems ही कम होंगी, क्योंकि वो design ही better way में करेंगे. But that's, I think, a very loose line to put, because it's not data backed. It's not data backed because we are not getting data points. Why are we not getting data points, and why this is not a data backed fact, is because women are not taking that space and ownership to create that data point in the world. So again, I believe triple IT has a lot of females, have all of us who want to enter technology. India is the biggest producer of female tech graduates, बट फिर वो वर्कफोर्स में कहाँ गायब हो जाते हैं, नो आइडिया. समटाइम्स यू बिल्ड फैमिलीज, यू गेट मैरिड, फिर आप ब्रेक लेते हैं, फिर आप वापस आते हैं, फिर टेक्नोलॉजी की दुनिया चेंज हो जाती है कम्प्लीटली. फिर आपको लगता है अबे यार अब कौन यार ये सीखेगा, अब कौन नई लैंग्वेज समझेगा, आई डोंट हैव द टाइम, आई हैव responsibilities to nurture a family, da 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 da, and then vanishes India's fact and statistic कि हम सबसे बड़े female tech graduate हैं. It goes out blank because we are not the largest female tech workforce in the world, right? तो कहीं ना कहीं there is that issue. But I believe if female bosses होंगी, female entrepreneurs होंगे, तो वो एक ऐसा business environment बना सकते हैं where females are welcome back into the organization. I will again repeat, Good Piggy is welcoming female people, female kids who want to be in the workforce. In fact, we are joining hands with Apple very soon, and Apple wants to be in touch with females through the startup. If you join Good Piggy, so you will be trained and you will be I would say you will get opportunities to interact with Apple directly. What they want to say is how many females we have in the team. And trust me, whenever I take out job opportunities, abhi last I had taken out on LinkedIn, 120 applications came, only one was a female, and that female got rejected because of merit, right? So we are merit in nature, but I would love for females to join the workforce. Our designers, one of our designers is female. We have just appointed a quality analyst, so a testing lady. I mean, as a female, we have picked her up, and trust me, she was so good. She was better than any man who sat in the interview process, right? She knew her theory, she knew her practical stuff, and that's what I believe. I think as females, we are much meticulous. So I really support women in technology. I am also the ambassador there. I really support it from the fact that, do I have positions and am I lopsided somewhere for females? Yes, I am. Why? Because I know that it needs to be an inclusive space. And if you are a female entrepreneur yourself, trust me, the government has grants. There are so many programs which are there to support you. And again, as an inclusive business, I would love to make space for women, because I want to create that data point in the world where I can show that India can also be a leading indicator when it comes to women in the workforce, and not just producing women engineers, right? We also make sure that they work and they enjoy a good working career life. So I think that's the two cent from me in terms of women and females. And again, I open this up to all female candidates in your campus to come and join us if you want.
Yeah, that's so nice of you. And recently, government has also carried out certain schemes in which they provide free funds, especially for women startups, so that they can encourage them for these
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Good Piggy is one of them.
Yeah, of course. And can you tell me that what motivated you towards EdFinTech? Like because Good Piggy is EdFinTech oriented company, and I think it's the first EdFinTech startup in India.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what motivated you towards this particular sector,
The
and
problem,
how you
the
evolved
problem,
about this idea of startup?
problem, the problem, right? I was a very problem oriented person. Problem क्या है इंडिया की? Problem ये है कि I came from a middle class family, right? And we all come from middle class families. हम सब education loan लेते हैं. हम सबको education loan pay back करना होता है. हमको खुद को कुछ पता नहीं होता finance के बारे में, right? और फिर हमें सीखना पड़ता है और फिर हम YouTube पे जाते हैं और फिर यूट्यूबर्स को देखते हैं और वहां से सीखने की कोशिश करते हैं, लाइक हम मारते हैं हाथ पैर यार, बट वी आर स्टिल नॉट देयर एज अ कंट्री. We are still not aware as a country. And the world is getting more complex. In fact, so I think you all are already aware. You're all more than 18 years of age. Civil banta hai sabka, right? How many of you even know what is your civil score right now? Nobody, right? But to go ahead in life, if you are to create assets, you need to take loan. You need to take credit. To take a credit, your civil report will come in place. What are you doing for it? Nothing. We don't even know what is our civil score. We've never even checked it ourselves, right? तो ये प्रॉब्लम है एंड दैट प्रॉब्लम अट्रैक्टेड मी. बट प्रॉब्लम को मैं सॉल्व हमारे लेवल पे कर सकती थी, आर एज ग्रुप, सीनियर एज ग्रुप, टीनेजर एज ग्रुप. बट वेयर इज द रियल प्रॉब्लम? द रियल प्रॉब्लम इज बचपन से ही हमें नहीं बात हो रही, राइट? कैम्ब्रिज यूनिवर्सिटी सेट 7 years तक मनी पर्सनैलिटी बन जाती है दिमाग में. अभी हम फिर 18, 21, 22, 25, 26, 30 साल की एज पे एड्रेस करेंगे. ब्रेन तो आपका फॉर्म हो गया ना, which is telling you that you're a कंजूस or you're a spendthrift or you're a miser, what kind of a person you are. It's already set. It's already set because of inputs you received in your childhood. The inputs we receive as a country in our childhood are, don't talk about money with children. बेचारों की innocence खराब हो जाएगी. क्यों पैसे कर रहे हो? Why you want to tell them? Because we have put money in such a bad light. Why can't it be simple and fun? Why it cannot be? Because हम सबको वो rat race लगता है. हम सबको मनी एक बर्डनिंग टॉपिक लगता है, तो हम बच्चे से कैसे बात करेंगे वो चीज? दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम, राइट? बट टू सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम, आई हैड टू गो टू दैट एज ग्रुप. नाउ टू डू एंड गो टू दैट एज ग्रुप टू टीच them money management at a very young age. How do you do it? Do I tell them to come to classes? But after that, what they will do? अच्छा, example, I go and I tell a child 8 years की एज पे what is the checkbook. अरे वो करेगा क्या फिर उस नॉलेज का? उसको कोई चेकबुक तो दे नहीं रहा भरने के लिए, करेक्ट? So yes, we were not told how to fill a check when we were young. That we complain school system सिखाता नहीं है, but वो सिखा के आप करोगे क्या उस चीज का? You are not going to fill one, right? So even if I taught that to you at 8, there was nothing for you to go and play and practice at. So that's where I realized that one of the common features that is always there is the piggy bank in our homes, right? तो हम कुछ उसी से कर सकते हैं उसको. Can we make the piggy bank more smart? Yes, we can. Um, are all online transactions happening online? Yes, they are. Can children do those transactions on your behalf? 85% mothers in our event recently said कि बच्चे हमारे अकाउंट के थ्रू पेटीएम कर लेते हैं. They can help us, they can guide us, they can even complete a transaction. So can children do it? Yes. Should they have a digital piggy bank? Yes. Will they use money in a digital way? Yes. Will you use it in cash? No. Right? So I had to go to that level. But how will they earn money? How will they put money in the piggy bank? Yes, then we are not a country जहाँ पे हम बोलें कि आप मैकडॉनल्ड्स जाके वो करो, और we will not go and tell our kids कि आप गाड़ी साफ करो या आप झाड़ू मारो, या आप ये कर. That's not the way Indian parents are. Indian parents will do everything. If you are learning, then you are earning. We will always tell you to go an internship. We will always tell you to challenge yourself. So I think that's how Good Piggy evolved. It evolved with the problem. This is the problem. How should I solve it in India? And that you saw how big I started and how small the solution is. It starts with, how can I ask somebody to learn and earn? After they have earned the money, how can I ask that kid कि अच्छा क्या खरीदना है आपको इससे? क्या क्या ये आपकी नीड है, क्या ये आपकी वांट है? अगर ये आपकी नीड है तो आप इसको सेव करो, इसको एक गोल बनाओ, इसको बजट करो, बजट करके स्टार्ट सेविंग मनी फॉर दैट गोल। 4 आपके गोल्स है तो सोचो आपको कौन सा फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी है, कौन सा सेकंड प्रायोरिटी है, कितने को कितने बजट एलोकेशन करना है। लेट दैट बी इन फ्रंट ऑफ द पेरेंट, लेट द पेरेंट गिव यू परमिशन बिफोर यू बाय इट, एंड देन यू कम बैक व्हेन वी deliver it at your doorstep, then you come back and say, look, I bought this, I am happy, I have self-esteem boost, I will not waste this toy like any other toy which is lying around the house, I will value it, right? So I think that's the logic, and that's how we intend to solve the problem at Good Piggy.
Yeah, and it teaches the students right from the beginning how to go about a digital savings thing. Yeah.
Correct.
And one question from the audience side is like, what are the factors which basically influence startup idea? What are the factors or what things can affect a startup idea? And is it impacted by the space they are at the age group, and what age group they should target basically?
So
Like,
it depends on the problem you're solving, right? आपकी problem क्या है, आप किसके लिए solve करें? What is important to know is कि जो आपकी problem statement है उसके अंदर कौन कौन stakeholders हैं, and what is it that the startup needs to solve meaningfully for those users, right? And that's how you build around the idea. So eventually, when you know the problem, then you know who has the problem, who is your target audience, what kind of market they have, study them really. कि सुबह से रात तक वो करते क्या हैं, कैसे करते हैं, when the problem comes, how do they deal with it, what are the options available, how can we make it improve, can it be something of scale, is it viable, is it scalable, is it measurable? So I think when you answer those correct questions, then आप वो idea को formulate कर पाएंगे into a business, right? How will I get revenue? What kind of model do I want to follow? Do I want to be a B2B model? Do I want to be a B2B2C model? Do I want to be a D2C model? Do I want to be a B2B model, right? If yes, if you are a D2C startup, yes, आपका social media important है. But अगर आप एक B2B startup, आपका social media important नहीं है. Why waste your dollars, effort, energy there? Right? So those are the things which will help you think. And I think whiteboarding, brainstorming, analytically thinking about it will definitely help, and good mentors.
yeah. And one more question from audience side is like, on your profile they saw that you are an upcoming author. So can you tell me about what your author journey is? Are you starting, or what are some things you have published? What are the topics you basically talk about?
Correct. So I have written a lot of articles, and they are published by UK publications in London. They were mostly for institutional investors. So they were targeted to somebody who is an institutional investor who wants to read. And it's a publication which is called Private Equity Wire, which has published a lot of articles of mine, which is a publication for institutional investors, majorly on what is happening on a sector, why should you invest in it, what you should keep in mind, certain private equity players who are already investing, what are they feeling about it. So I think those are the topics that I've written so far about, because one of my key areas that I have studied and I have written about is in mergers and acquisitions. But the book that I'm writing on is more to do with the possibilities of the world. So I think as I'm getting closer into research, into finding out where the world is going, uh, the book is centered around anybody who wants to read about कि दुनिया में चल क्या क्या रहा है और किस तरफ दुनिया जा सकती है, and what are the narratives which are brewing up, can just go to that book. There will be few chapters, read a chapter in 5 to 10 minutes, and if you like what you read, then go and research on it. So what they say is कि किसी भी इंसान के लिए it's important to have breadth of knowledge. When you know a lot of stuff and you know which one is what interests you, is relevant to you, then you can deep dive into it. So I think the book that I am attempting is going to give that breadth where, in just a single read, you can go through a variety of possibilities that the world is attempting. And if it excites you, if you want to read more about it, then you can just personally yourself be self curious to deep dive into that area.
Okay, yeah. So, Purva, we would like to thank you for taking out your time from your busy schedule to share with us all your insights today. It was
Thank you
really
so
a
much.
wonderful session to have you here with us.
I'm so happy, so glad. If there are any questions that anybody has, please feel free to write to me on LinkedIn or to write me an email. My email is purva@goodgoodpiggy.com. And again, like I said, if you're looking for job opportunities, etc., you're more than welcome to come and join me. And again, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my email address.
Okay. Thank you, Purva. And also
Thanks,
thanks to
Sonali.
all the audience who were there and connected with us today.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.